Hey guys, welcome to another voiceover tutorial. My name is Akemi-chan, and for this term's voiceover tutorial, we will be doing another painting follow along, except this time I'm going to show you guys how I go about using photo references while I paint. So basically, we're going to tackle the new Resident Evil game character, Wong, and let's see what we could do. So excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. So I was trying to find interesting lighting reference for lighting inspiration as well as a bit of a posing inspiration. So I found this bikini photo on Adobe Stock. As you guys know, that is my favorite stock website where I take images for backgrounds and stuff like that, and sometimes reference. Oftentimes I don't really use reference when I start out, but for this tutorial I would like to start out that way, see where we get. And so this is our reference here, and then of course we have the game reference of the character Ada Wong right here. So with these two references, we're gonna start and see what we could come up with. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm just gonna take basically the strength of the shadow and highlight, and then we'll probably kind of change the tone of this because it is super warm, and Resident Evil, the game itself, the atmosphere is very dark, and well, not very kind of dark, but also very cold in tone. So what we could do is just kind of start modifying the tone of the photo first. I kind of like how intense that is. Just kind of play around with it, and pretty much we will be using this tone that we adjust this photo to. So of course take a bit of time to adjust, but anyways, a lot of my shading and whatnot does come from photo reference because that is the best way to emulate realistic lighting. So oftentimes that's what I use. I think I still kind of want to make it less bright, so I'm gonna go in here and reduce that even further, and maybe even kind of play around with this a bit, maybe reduce that even further, so making it muted, a bit more muted for this character, and also the vibe of the game. And we're just playing around with the color balance. So you can also do this to your reference if you want. And this is gonna be pretty much our color reference, as we're just gonna go straight in with the color picker to pick the reference, the colors. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. Okay, alright, let's get started. I'm kind of excited to see how I'm gonna go about this because I don't really do this much, but hey, let's test stuff out. So let's go with a base. So we're just gonna dive right in with, oh boy, with pretty much, oh, actually we'll do this first. So right now I am pretty much color blocking as well as shaping with a combination of lines and also shadow, and I'm just going to start adding in the clothing. I'm not really sure if we want to keep that pose, but as you can see, I'm kind of messy. I kind of just started with like the mid portion instead of the head. So yeah, I do kind of want to still keep the head lighting. As you can see, it's kind of disproportionate. That's just how I usually handle it. I'm super unorganized when I use reference. But I usually start editing it afterwards, so it'll start coming together, but when it first starts, it looks really, really messy. So I get some lighting here. Oh shoot. Okay, the bust area needs to be way down. So I'm just gonna copy and paste that downward. And then of course we have the dress. So I'm probably gonna put a bit of my own spin on this dress. I kind of want to make her wear more of a get inspiration from like a more traditional chi pao dress. Probably gonna go with that, but still have a bit of that similar design from the game as well. A lot of the times I do like to kind of modify the design a bit. So right now I'm kind of going about creating the shapes, rough shapes, and also at the same time putting in, color picking the colors, layering it down just at a rough place or so. I'm really tempted to just like make her have her skin exposed a bit more, just because of the reference right here, just because how I can't help but want to paint more anatomy, so showing skin is painting skin is kind of a way for me to practice it, and I do like painting it that way, so a lot of times my pen arts are like super sexualized, but it's really fun. It's one of the reasons why I like doing that. Anyways, just continue to observe the reference. I'm not really looking at this reference at this point, just gonna look at that reference right there and try to mimic it pretty much. And so right now you can see that she's wearing bikini, but the game character itself is wearing a dress. So sometimes when it comes to using references for the sake of only lighting and pose, it could be a bit challenging because you have to translate that into the poses as well. So right now I'm thinking how I have to translate all these parts to a red dress. So I have to think about the lighting here. I gotta follow it with the red dress. If it was the red dress, then this part would be bright red and that part would be dark red. So I'm constantly thinking stuff like that, trying to make sure it translates well, stuff like that. And also right here it's pretty clunky. Let me just clean that up. So right now it's looking a little crazy. Don't worry guys, this is how usually it starts. It usually looks ridiculous. And I have some shadow and her hair. Probably not gonna go with the same expression either, but I'm just going to take inspiration from the shading right here. So have a big dip of shading there. Highlight mostly here with a bit of ab definition, which I'll paint it out later. And then we have the hold on, the leg definition, and just going to kind of clean this up. Alright guys, let's keep going. I took a bit of a break, so now I'm just going to, I'll probably do the face later on, towards the end after I nail down the body somewhat, just so I don't have to worry about the rest of the body and whatnot. I'm going to go use the lasso tool and start cleaning certain things, and even kind of eyeing this a bit. I think this chest should go down, this one goes up a bit more, so that we can really get the vibe of her waist twisting a bit more. and also there's an indent here, as you can see right here. So we need to make sure that this shows that it's doing indent. And then you have the bottom portion, the buttocks and the leg. So right now I'm kind of reconstructing a little bit because the reference doesn't really go that far. So we can just, I think her arm goes around like here. And there's actually quite a bit of distance, so let's just clean that up. And I'm every time I'm kind of painting on a separate layer, that's actually quite useful. I'm just going to go to both layer and deleting it. It is quite useful in case you mess up. You can always change it. So this is what we have right now. As you can see, it's very rough. Let me just remove this part. So a good way to, I guess you don't have to follow the references exactly, but a good way to tell is just to observe the different landmarks, such as the arm here and the chest here. As you can see, my chest is like popping out, extending more so than the arm. It's kind of reaching more than the arm, and the arm should be kind of overlapping or in front of the chest area. So I'm gonna have that, and also going back to that color and selecting these colors as I go. Just want to make sure that I have the colors exactly as they are, and especially this area. So at this point I'm just gonna go straight up with a airbrush, and this will help me kind of shade and slash blend out super fast, so I can cover more areas and smooth it out more efficiently that way. Okay, so that's what we have right now. And also another thing is to look at the small preview right here. So as you can see, it's looking a little weird. That's because right now, if you look at the preview, this area is really light, while this area is kind of not in the same tone. That is because it is not really refined enough. So we're gonna go ahead and start refining this area a bit more. And first stop is just to clean up the silhouette. Delete, lock down that layer, and I'm just gonna start once again with the airbrush, of course, and I can pretty much very efficiently kind of just pick up the color from that layer and from that reference, and just paint it down really fast like this pretty much. And as you can see, we have what's this thing called? I have no idea, but this muscle right here, it does create quite a bit of shadow, so I'm just going to observe and emulate the curvature and also how it kind of just melts into the rest of the color. And I can also kind of just use color picker to make sure that we have similar colors and whatnot. And down here, this is the lighting, which I have to be very careful with the lighting. Anyways, other than that, we're gonna go ahead, clean this shoulder up a bit. Let's use our lasso tool and contour the arm right here, and we're gonna go in with the color picker once again and color pick that. Now notice how in this piece right here the girl has long hair, and so I think actually it shouldn't influence it that much, but her arm is super dark over there in the shadow, of course, so we might have to kind of play around with that a bit. And I'm just going to do my own interpretation, because I do know that there is a bit of connection over here, especially when the chest ease into the shoulder. It creates this type of highlight, so I'm just gonna put that in. It's not in the reference, however, I've painted enough of these type of poses to just kind of know that that should be how it looks like. Anyways, going down here, pick the same color. As you can see, these colors are showing up a little bit more different in this background than this background. It's probably because, hold on a sec, if I just lighten it up a bit, it does definitely look different in different shades of background, dark and light. Anyways, that's what I wanted to point out. That's kind of, anyways, so after that, I'm just gonna further clean stuff up, and I'm trying to see what I can do to kind of, what can I do to make this make sense, because this doesn't really make that much sense, this pose. And also a good way to kind of make the pose a bit more believable is just to put the clothing wrap around the anatomy to indicate the pose. So right here, if I add just this little thing right here, it'll feel more like her waist is twisting a bit more, just like in the reference. And okay, so now for the dress, I'm gonna pick a even darker color. So this is gonna be my shadow color. I still kind of need to paint in the waist, so I'm following along more or less the type of shadow this has, and just painting it down the best that I can, keeping in mind that this dress is flowy and is not super, it's not skin tight down here, so not sure if that works actually. I might change it later. You know what is gravity anyways? Let's make it a bit more skin tight and making the dress hang a bit more here, kind of like this. And sometimes you don't really need to stick too close to the reference, maybe like experiment with the angle of the limbs a bit here and there. So this is what we have. I'm just going to clean this up a bit more. So using the lasso tool, I'm just interpreting this area mostly. This area is reference, but this area is a bit more open to interpretation because I do not have the reference for it. However, let's try our best to make this area make sense a bit more. So again, kind of trying to smooth it out just like the reference. So somewhat like that. And I'm going to make this part just a little bit darker. And yeah, let me just let me go here for a sec, just selecting this area and this area. First I'm gonna go here, select the lightest highlight color. I'm just gonna put that down right here. Actually, does this work? Man, she has thick legs if I do that. So just adding the highlight to the spot right here, roughly where it is. Maybe I can have her skirt go around like that, so that it kind of covers her leg and also makes for a cool now I don't even know what I'm gonna do with this. I guess she could be kind of sorry, she could be kind of like leaning on something, I guess. And also stockings. So roughly this is where that is. So this is what we have. Let me kind of follow along the curvature of the bikini, and then I noticed that let's put a bit of that game design in there. So she's got like a bit of black stripe here, so I'm just gonna fill that in real fast and then put a bit of just highlight, which usually for black I like to go with a grayish bluish tone for highlight. And then she also has her, what's it called, the police holster. So let's have that, just roughly place that down using the lasso tool. And of course the highlight, I'm gonna put a bit of that yellow tone in there just to match the color tone of the highlights too. So yeah, it's gonna be like that, and it's kind of, oh, I also kind of wanted to make this a bit more traditional Chinese design. I know this her outfit is a bit, this is more formal, but I kind of want to put a bit of that Chinese dress spin to it. I'll probably do that later on in the design. So yeah, this is what we have so far. It is quite rough. Guess we can go ahead and do the hair a bit. So there's a lot of shadow over here and more highlight over here. So as you can see, the highlight is on this side, so we're gonna try to put heavy highlight on this side. This might be a bit too much, however, it is a good guide. And this is the highlight color, and we just figure out the shadow color. So very rough, gonna do a basic face guide with the nose and the eyes. It looks like a stick man right now, but this is just a basic face shadow guide, getting all that shadow in. Have the highlight here, and a bit of highlight for the clavicle, as you can see right here, and then have the shadow. But then again, the shadow will probably be a little different because her hair is not that long, so probably, oh man, that's actually the coolest part, is the hair casting shadow on the skin, that part. But it's okay, we'll see what we could do. We'll just take some inspiration. I'm gonna go somewhere like this, just contour the cleavage a bit more with the dress. And I'm just going to indicate just a little bit of the highlight on this side of the cleavage, just so we can see it a bit, and then smooth out the highlight for here. And right here you can see a bit of highlight, so alright. Just kinda seeing where this is going. Maybe I could darken up the background a bit, just like this image right here. Maybe that'll make it look a little bit better. Backgrounds have such a big impact on characters. So just having a darker background might make this a little bit more atmospheric, stuff like that. Still not really sure. But anyways, so this is what we have for now. Let's do another group and we'll take it to step 2. So now that we have a pretty basic basic layout of of the shadow highlight and a bit of that rough detail, we can go in for more precision and we'll start refining stuff. Usually when that happens, I really like to have the reference super close. That way I can just look at it and it'll be in the same area as my canvas. Oh, sorry, that made no sense. Within my view, so that I can just look back, glance back, and quickly come back and put in the details. So that's what we're gonna do. At the same time, you know, this is a interpretation of the reference. It's not exactly the same thing, so it might be a little challenging just because we have to think about the character that we're painting, that is not the reference. So the red dress, I'm trying to think, so translating this highlight and shadow into a red. Basically, I see that it's got like a bit of rim light on the corner here. There's like super intense rim light here too. That's what I call kind of like highlight within shadow-ish area. So I got the shadow. We have the highlight here. Oh wait, highlight right here. And at the same time, I'm just going to clean this up. Using the lasso tool really helps, and selecting the color right there and plopping it down. I'm blending at the same time, and let me just also clean at the same time using the lasso tool. I'm just going to erase this area right here and go ahead and start working on the dress. Oh, I remember what I was talking about before. So we were gonna put a bit of highlight right here, just as the reference is. It might be a little tricky. Let's see. Highlight here. So basically, this is where the rib cage pops out of. I'm not really going to stick exactly to the anatomy of the reference, just using it as kind of inspiration, using it as just a basic reference, pretty much basic idea, and the rest usually comes from you. Basically the anatomy that you learned, you apply it to the references you show. Sometimes, you know, I don't really want to exactly make it super realistic, but having the reference really helps. And yes, she's wearing a dress. However, a good way to just make sure it's like super skin tight and sexy feel, paint the anatomy on top of the clothes and then slowly erase it by adding cloth texture and color over it, and it'll look really skin tight. Right now it's not looking too good. Let me make another layer. Actually, I needed to make another layer and slowly integrate this. So again, looking at the reference, and I noticed that right here, this area, is super dark, so I'm just gonna color pick that super dark color, put it down, going to select that grayish color right here and put that down. And yeah, that's pretty much how I usually go about using references. And also afterwards, when we're finalizing stuff, we don't really need to stick to the exact same color as the reference. We can edit that afterwards, but for now we can just stick to that and see how much we can take from it, pretty much. And I'm just going to observe the anatomy right here, add a bit of shadow here to contour the ab, and also this line right here, and then goes down like that. And looking at the fold here, this will be a very important landmark, anatomy landmark, the squeeze there, which emphasizes a bit of the curve, so we have to nail that, or at least have a bit of impression there, enough so that it looks legit, pretty much. We have to paint a bit of that in. Let me just go back to the armpit and put in that detail slash shadow. Okay, right now her dress needs a bit more correcting. After I follow the reference, I'm just gonna go ahead and redo it. Sometimes I notice I follow the reference a bit too much to the T, that it doesn't really work well with the character, so you have to go back and edit it. That's usually the case. Okay, we'll select that color right there and put this down. So this is our skin tone. And we're just using the black portion of the dress to contour this breast right here. And to clean it off, I'm just going to select the other chest area and just using the lasso to secure that area, and then blend it out using the airbrush. Just kind of slowly selecting the color and maybe a bit of that warm tone too, just like that. So that's what we have. I'm going to use a bit of that warm tone up here, maybe a little bit there too. So right now you can kind of see that the dress is quite dark over here to emphasize the shadow. However, it also does blend a bit too much into the background. So usually what I like to do is create a random light source in the back, just so that this part is clear, kind of like that. So now this part, you can clearly tell where this is going. Okay, so real fast, I'm just going to flip this over and see if everything is okay. I flip it over just to have a check, not exactly going to do any fixes unless necessary, and so far it's not too bad. And I have a feeling that's because I'm following a reference. Usually when I use reference, stuff usually goes a lot smoother, faster, and not as much mistakes. That is one advantage of using reference, so that's good. Alright, back to this part right here. I gotta make sure that this indent is very, very obvious, and just trying to follow kind of where this part is bent and where it is bent. And at the same time, I'll probably play around with the dress design afterwards. Right now I'm trying to just get the anatomy down. pretty much imagining this is like skin, and I'm just kind of making sure it is similar to this. I'm just going to blend this out using the smudge tool, as always having the scatter option on in the smudge tool, smudge brush option. So with that we can blend it very easily, and the strength is 1%. Okay, going back to painting now. Alright, so okay, now oh yeah, so I've noticed that right here there's quite a bit of highlight here compared to the rest of the colors around it. So same goes for the dress. I'm just going to pick a slightly brighter red, and then we're just going to drop it on the areas where the highlight is the most intense. And of course this does make the dress a little bit more shiny, and we probably need to fix that later on, but just to have that rough highlight down. Okay, now going over here, I'm just going to, I noticed that it's going, the waist is kind of slanting downward right here, following that slant. My version had a bit of a curve, so I'm just kind of correcting it, see if that looks better, and it looks alright. I personally prefer a bit of a curve, so we'll bring that back. Sometimes it's good to test stuff out and try stuff that's in the reference just to see how you like it. Anyways, back to this, selecting the shadow, or the, well, I guess we could call it a shadow. This is what it looks like, and just put down that color. This is not super dark. That's probably because it's in this part is highlighted, so this is pretty bright compared to the rest of the body. So let's have that down. Okay, this part is good. Let me just bring this up here, and then really emphasize this a sharp shadow right here. So I'm just going to use that super bright red and cut out that shadow for the dress like that. And then we have the bikini right here. We can make the bikini basically like the underwear. So again, a pretty lazy job, just because I'm just gonna give her like, okay, maybe we'll give her like a thicker pair of underwear. And notice how this shadow right here is kind of tucked right where the underwear line is and the leg or the belly area, so we're gonna make sure to have that. Now it's time to observe super close. So actually this is where the belly button is. I'm just gonna paint it out just to show the anatomy, and then we'll later on reduce it, of course, so that it doesn't look super weird. So this here we have the shadow going like this, and then on top is the dress. Like it goes like that. So right now it's like super skin tight, as you can see. In order to emulate a bit of fabric, I'm just going to drag this highlight down just to make it feel like a drape fabric, and then it expands like this, covering the leg a bit. And of course we have the belly button, we can't really keep it, so I'm just going to blur it out with the smudge tool, but at the same time I'm still getting a bit of that anatomy, which is good. And if you still think it's too much, you can kind of paint over it with a bit of it's called clothing folds, just a small amount, tiny ones, which just looks like tight skin wrinkle like this. Okay, now that we have that, I'm just going to now work on this part. So I do not have a reference for that, so this is just coming out of my head. Well, I have a rough idea of how it should look like. Again, following the same shadow and color, just going to follow that and put that down, and then eventually blending it together just like that. You know what? Sometimes it's also helpful to use multiple references, so don't be afraid to kind of look for another reference that has this similar pose, or at least try to get an idea of how this area is shaped. So this is what I have. This is probably not realistic. I always make the legs really thick. It's just like an extra that I do. So this is what we have now. This is before, this is after. As you can see, it's more refined. Not exactly following the exact same thing as the image, however, it does take certain elements from the image, and because of the photo, I think that this helps make the lighting and shadow more realistic, which is good. So let me merge this down because I'm sort of happy with it. Lock that down. Continue on with this. I'm going to add a bit of shadow here to the arm to make it go behind a bit more. So clearly the area that is highlighted, such as the chest, the leg, is the area that is more focused on because it is in highlight, and the rest is mostly shadow. I'm going to select this area because I want to clean up the highlight and shadow area, and here too. I'm going to add, actually hold up, make this area a bit darker. I'm gonna save this first. Should we stop here for step 2? Let me see. So this is before, after. It's just a little cleaner. Let's zoom in here for a sec, and we're gonna work a bit. Oh my god, look at how much skin that is. Like, look at how curved that is due to the bikini. So usually I would try to emulate that. It just when the clothes is really tight, make sure that there's a bit of flesh being deformed around the clothing, so that helps with making the clothes look like it's on the character, especially when it's super tight clothing like this. Actually, I might have gone a bit too far. Let me just maybe like this. So I'm trying to emulate the shape of that. I'm going to have just a little bit of highlight here and a little bit of shadow here, and also the armpit area here. Okay, also I noticed that this area is quite bright, so we're just gonna put our imaginary highlight behind this area too, so that we can contour that area. And you'll see that this area is light, so we probably won't want there to be light behind this particular area, so that the highlight on the hair stands out. So it's all about playing a balance game. A balance game of making sure the silhouette pops out by using a contrast. Okay, so now we are at the armpit area, and I am going to follow along. So this dips right here, and then the neck kind of just softly goes like that. Actually, there's a little bit of a a little bit of a squeeze here, and then it goes down like that. So we're gonna have that. Most of the shadow on the neck is quite dark. Actually, a bit of it is quite dark. And then we have this color right here. And then we have the super dark color. That is the armpit extending downward to the clavicle. And we're just going to... This is a bit tough because the color variant right here, you can see clearly that there's different color. However, I think it's a bit harder to translate it because it's so subtle. So I'm just gonna use a darker color pretty much. That's it. And also our neck is in highlight over here, so right here is bright, quite bright. And then down here she's got hair, but the character that we're painting, Ada Wong, has short hair, so we have to think a little and assume that right here, as you can see, there's a highlight on the side. So if there was no hair on top of her shoulder, that means that this highlight extends over here as well. So we're just going to select the shoulder area and extend that highlight in. Put down the shadow. It is quite dark here. We'll just put a little bit of a dark shadow there. That's it. Okay, now that we have that done, I'm gonna go back and attempt to put the dress. So I think this is actually a pretty good reference for the dress because it is more or less the same as this. So oops, I'm gonna go ahead and select the red color and just put a basic line, and there's a bit of crunching going on, bit of wrinkling going on, so quickly emulating that without being too precise, as well as here. This one goes right over the neck and shoulder, like that. So right now it's very messy. The neck is super messy. Let me just clean that up. I'm just going to use the smudge tool and smudge it all together. So this is what we have right now. I am going to clean up the shadow. Also, I just noticed, but for some reason this intense highlight escaped my mind completely till now. So I think we're gonna put that there, and also I want to emphasize the highlight on this side as well. Because if we look at the piece right here, the dress is really emphasized here, but it's not really here and here. So I want to kind of make sure that it's really emphasized there. So using the lasso tool, I'm going to select the areas where I think it will be super bright due to the highlight. So just grabbing these two areas, making another layer. I just select that color, drag it up in my color picker, like that. So it is a little bit brighter, and then I'm going to inverse it, which is just inverting the selection and then putting shadow in the rest of the area, like that. So that way it emphasizes the highlight a bit more. And I'm just going to extend this down a bit. Okay, now I'm taking a look to make sure everything's okay. Let me see, zoom out, guys, have a look, see, before, after. This definitely feels a bit more intense. Okay. And also I feel like this part, it should be cleaned up like that. I'm not sure. Let's zoom out, have a look. A lot of times it helps if you zoom out, see if it looks good. I'm also going to make this part darker because I get to see this clearer, the silhouette clearer, and putting back that highlight. Now I'm going to select the holster for her weapon, and I'm going to make it dark, and let's just make it super shiny at this exact area, and a bit of the skin tone. Okay, now back to this armpit right here. So following the curvature here, having it dark on this corner, and then we have the armpit as usual. Paint that in. Might be a bit too much flap going on here. I'll fix that later. And paint the holster in. Clean that up. And we can inverse it. That way we can paint a bit of shadow on the skin. I'm reversing it once again to go back to the holster and adding a bit of highlight to it. And then deselect. I'm gonna go here and delete a bit of this, reduce it a bit, and then going back here to clean up the side. Okay, it's looking a little wrinkly, or not smooth pretty much. Just kind of smoothing out the edges and also making sure to contour the dress. Like that. Okay. There we go. All good. I'm going to make this a bit more intense, same color as that. Actually, I'm wondering, should I add some highlight here, which makes the dress a bit shiny. Oh well. Okay, let's go back to the underwear. I'm gonna make it a dark color. I'm putting a bit of brighter color here and then dark after. And then for the dress, I'm going to select it, contouring the leg area, and filling that in with dark red. Actually, let's extend it down like this so that it feels, oops, selection gone wrong, so that it feels like it is draped down. And I'm just going to cover this up with the fabric. I'm gonna select a darker color, and I'm going to put the shadow kind of connected to the shadow right here, making sure that it follows through. And there we go. And over here, I'm going to select the contour of the leg. This is not part of the reference. I'm going to go really dark so that the fabric looks like it's overlapped over it. Probably should also kind of cover up this area a bit too. Let me see how this would look. Yeah, this makes more sense. Just gonna extend this down like that. And as for the stocking, I can go over here and take a bit of that color from the actual game character reference, which helps. And as you can see, she's got a bit of rim light to the corner, so we could actually put a bit of this rim light, which is a very blue-gray color. I think this will suit her well for the atmosphere, of course. So just having it hug the contour. A bit of, actually let's pick a blue-gray and contour the dress like that. Okay, so this is what we have. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the portrait a bit. I'm just going to be a bit rough with it on a separate layer, of course, because just in case I want to erase certain stuff or edit certain stuff. So for the portrait, usually focus on the face. I like to get a really close-up reference for it because I am not sure. I have a rough idea of how the character looks like, but it's always, I feel more confident if I have a really close-up picture of the character to paint from. Actually, you know what, looking back, I kind of like this kind of liked it when it was out a bit more. Damn it, I always change my mind. I think it was a lot sexier before. Let me just put that back. I'm trying to imagine the other leg. Probably gonna have the similar posture. Like that. Let's extend this a bit. Okay, so this is what we're gonna have. Let me add a bit of shadow on this side here. So I'm not sticking too much to the reference, just a bit for the general composition, and then afterwards usually I would go and edit it a bit just to suit my own interpretation of the character. I'm going to make this a bit thinner. Zoom out, have a look-see. Okay, now back to the face. So for the face, I'm just gonna bring this over because I want to see the character's face closer up. There we go. So I noticed that she has highlight going up on the top of her head. So using this color palette right here, we'll probably change it as we go. Going to kind of follow along the hairstyle, so her ear here, and then she's got long bangs on this side. So I'm going to put that down. Also, her hair is quite dark, so in order to contour her hair, we might have to make this lighter, just so we can see the hair more clearly, just at the top, of course. Okay, and I'm just going to color the top of that head, and I'm going to clean up the hair on that side. Why do I have... Wait, wow. I actually painted it underneath. Did I paint it underneath? Why does that... Why is there... Wait. Oh, where is this? Oh, I painted on that layer. That was weird. Okay. I was like, where is that? Okay, now it's on the right layer. There we go. So we have the head, more or less. Now for the... Let's roughly put the highlight here. I noticed that this highlight here appears just a little bit greenish, like a dull green, like that. So I'm just gonna put that there. Okay, the hair might not be exactly, it's probably not the most accurate. I have to look for other references. Okay. Now for the face. There's a lot of this orangey color here. And this part is in highlight. Like that. And we have let's do the lips, which is red. Going for a pretty dark shade of red for now for the shadow. And then the eyebrows. So there is highlight underneath the eyebrow. Just gonna put that there. And I'm just going to adjust the bangs so that we could see the other eyes more. And there is kind of shadow coming from the hair on the side too. Okay, so just very rough framework. This is before, this is after. It's definitely coming along. Just clean that up. Okay, the neck might need to be a bit shorter. Actually, I could bring this down a bit. Of course, I might also edit this like crazy afterwards, but for now, this is what we have. And now going for her eyes. So going for a rough outline of the eyes first. I also kind of have a reference picture on my other monitor so I can have a look. Okay, so we have the cheek here. She's not really smiling that much, so technically the highlight should be not as bright. And I have the nose. That. And the eyes. And we'll do the eyebrows real fast. And for the whites of the eyes. So this is just a base first. Now we're gonna move on to the features. So she's got a bit of, you know, that Korean trended eye bags. She has that, so I put a bit of that in. She has a bit of double eyelid, very thin, and eyebrows. Now gotta put that nose in accurately. So select the contour of this nose. The tip is that color, and then this side is this color. So I have to see how we're gonna work this out. We're going to extend that highlight over here, and on this side it's like that. So I'm basically just following along with the shadow and all, and there's quite a bit of highlight there, so I think what I'm gonna do is moving highlight like till here, and then should have shadow like on this side, and then highlights here, shadows here. Maybe a bit of shadow there too, and extend the highlight down here. And for the chins, there isn't really that much highlight actually. So this is what we have for now. It is quite messy. I have to translate this afterwards, smooth it out afterwards. So this is what we have just based off of the reference. It might be a little challenging just because we are not painting the same face, so it might be a bit challenging at first. So I can see there's like highlight coming from there. That's probably because the hair is parted this way, so there's a bit of dip in between these two parts to have a bit of lighting shine through here. I don't know if it works the same way, but we can have a little bit over here, and we have a bit of gray going on here. And here it's not really that much highlight actually. Kind of did not paint the hand to accommodate, so let's see if we can do that. So zooming in, I can see a lot clearer how the arm highlight should be. So we can try to see if we can put that in. It's a lot more yellow on the center and then more grayish in tone near here, and then highlight over here on this side. Like that. So just blend that in. So real life have a lot of color changes, very subtle color changes. And then let me just thin out the head a bit. It was a little thick. Indicate the hair. So over here, this is where the arm folds, and then this is where the hand is, but it's gonna be hard to translate that, so we'll do what we can. We're gonna have the highlight down here and the shadow down here, so we could pretty much hardly see that. And then you have the highlight on the ears, and then we have the rim light of the hair. What I guess I assumed there would be a rim light of the hair. So have the highlight, contour the hair to create a silhouette. So this is what we have, and gonna intensify the highlight on this side. I'm going to use a bigger brush and put back a bit of that highlight. I mean, sorry, not highlight, shadow on that side, so that it doesn't look super grayed out, and probably need to look for a better reference for this, because I think she has blonde hair, and if blonde hair looks brown in this type of lighting, then dark hair will probably work a little bit different. Okay, so we have the face. I mean, it's not looking too bad, it's definitely looking a lot better, however it doesn't really fit too well. So let me see, maybe we can tilt this, or tilt it this way. Let me remove the other layer. Actually, I liked it a bit before, so like that. Alright, I think we can go with this for step 2, and then we can see what we could do for step 3. Step 3. Alright guys, after taking a better look, if you toggle between this step and that step, this step actually looks a little better. It's probably because the head was smaller, so I'm gonna see if maybe making the head smaller will help make it look a bit more balanced. So I just reduce the size of the head. I think that might work a bit better. But at the same time, I kind of painted the arm on the same layer, so it's messing with the arm a bit. What I'm gonna do is merge everything down and just kind of cut the head out and have the head on a separate layer so that it's easier to work on. So we separated these 2 layers. Usually I like to have the head on a separate layer so that I can kind of move it around and stuff like that. Let's bring that down. Also, I like to have a bigger area to work on the head, so I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger. Oh god, it's looking weird. Let me kind of bring it down. Also, I'm pretty sure it's crooked, so I'm just going to real fast flip this. Yeah, I thought so. I knew it was crooked. So this size is really small and the size is bigger. So we have to fix that, make it a bit more balanced. Copy, paste, and warp. And then just make this eye a bit smaller. And also bring this over a bit. Make this eye a bit bigger. Like that. I know it looks weird right now. Just smooth it out and we have to repaint it. So it's fix, repaint, fix, repaint, fix, repaint. Much. Actually, we are kind of losing a bit of that pose, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to just make this eye just a little smaller, move it over. And fix that nose. Going to reconstruct, make it a bit thicker. And just soften the features. Make the pupils a bit bigger. Also the eyes, just kind of reshaping it a bit. I'm going to look for another reference, a bit of a close-up, so we can get a good look at her face, even though I do have an idea what she looks like. That's just kind of how I paint characters. I just like, for some reason I need to have a big blown up picture of their face to draw their face, even though I know what they'll look like. Just in case. Alright. Okay, I got a reference. I'm just gonna do my take on her face, I guess. To blend that nose in a bit. See here, it's got a bit of highlight. I might have to do my own highlights, so usually I like to go on the nose for a bit of highlight and then on the cheeks for highlight, maybe a bit over here. and the rest just blend that in. So for the lips, it's gonna go for, just pick up the color I used on the shirt pretty much. And just gonna slowly blend that into the face. Right now I'm feeling like the canvas is not big enough for this portrait. But so far so good. Just going to, let's see if we can kind of refine that jawline here. Also, she has a choker, so I'm just gonna put that down real fast. Bit of highlight on that side. And then highlight up top here. Okay. I'm going to zoom out, have a look-see. So I zoomed out, and okay, we need a bit more volume on this side. There's too much volume on the other side, so maybe if I add a bit more volume on this side, then I look a little bit more balanced. Also, I feel like perhaps the arm might be a bit too thick, so I reduced the size of this arm in particular. Zoom out, have a look-see. Okay. I think I need to move this arm over here a bit, so going to distort, and I'm just gonna move this over, just so that we can see this part a bit more. Kinda like that. Okay, I think it's getting there. It's getting there. So because I moved this over, I'm going to make the hair poof up over a bit like that. So this is what we have so far. Let me clean up the chin a bit. Lock the head layer down, and then I am going to extend the highlight over to the chin. And a bit on that side of the upper lip. Bit on the lower lip. Kinda like. So this is a bit. This light source is not really using the reference here as much. I'm just going about what I usually do. But at the same time, I'm gonna try to keep this in mind. So still with the highlight down here. Still with the shadow underneath the eyes, as well as contouring the jawline here, and slowly fade. Actually, you know what? I might change that a bit. It's not looking too good. I might change it. I'm just going to smooth out the forehead. And just kind of in general clean that up. Okay. Going to clean the top of the hair over here. The lip is looking a lot cleaner, which is good. Let me just make the head. What happens if I bring it down or up? So I can play around with that to see the different type of result that gives. Let me just add a bit more highlight down here. Bring back the shadow. Lock down the head, and I'm gonna pick this color. Put that down because that is what we have for the reference. I quite like it. And for the chin, this color. And just gonna blend the shadow over a bit more. So this is what we have. It's not looking too bad compared to what we had before. So this is before. Actually, let me just flip this back. So this is before, after. As you can see, after I flipped it back, we can immediately see a bit of unevenness. This part is a little bit too high, and this eye is a bit too big. So I'm just gonna copy paste. Gonna make this eye a bit more lower, this eye. And then after, I'm gonna copy paste this whole face. Copy merge, paste, Control Shift, and then bring that up. And I'm going to go ahead and refine the jawline over here. Alright, I think this looks a bit more even. Let's do before, after. Before, after. We can move this around. So there's a lot of editing around this stage. I'm gonna have a bit of highlight, see if that works. Nah, I don't think it works too well over there. Just keep it how it is. I'm going to use my lasso tool and select around the face against the hair, and then I'm gonna put that highlight there. And her eyes are kind of brownish, so I'm gonna have that. And going to sharpen her jawline a bit and add a bit of hair like that. Okay, it's actually coming along. Not too bad. Let me move this over a bit and going to make her neck a bit thinner so that she can look a bit more feminine. So this is what we have. Take this, put this over here. Okay, so this is what we have so far from the reference. Now it's time to edit it a bit based on what I think needs to be a bit different. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this whole part and put it on a separate layer so that I can adjust it. So now we can kind of do a bit of customize this a bit. So I cut the waist so that I have more flexibility to edit this. I can basically take this leg and do this, or this. Actually, this would make the composition better, to be honest, just because this leg could kind of cover the arm here and it would form a nice composition and it would be quite curvy and nice. So we could do that. And then you can also have the leg fold this way. just like that. And I'm also going to copy paste this one area where I think we could have more intense highlight. Maybe not that highlighted, but just a bit more. And then erase that, bring it down. I'm going to also make this part really a lot bigger, pretty much. Holy crap, that is really emphasized. So if we change the color of this, bring it up, damn, I'll make it darker, you can clearly see it. That might be a bit too much. It might be a bit too much. Let's bring it over here. And I'm going to add back the shadow because it was getting a bit too bright. So now I'm going to work on the other leg. I just selected the contour of this one leg here and I'm working on the other leg, adding shadow underneath it. And then we have the other leg, just roughly indicating where the other leg is. I'm gonna have the red color there. And the other leg. I'm thinking this part will be hitting the light source right here, since we are catching a bit of highlight on the top areas. So we're gonna have that. And because we have a lot of this stuff on separate layers, you can actually play around with stuff. You can maybe rotate this. Damn, that looks... I guess we can keep it like that. Let me just rotate this, see how that looks. That's okay. I think that might work. Okay, I think we'll go with this. So this to that. Actually, I kind of like that pose better. We can always go back. I think we'll go back. I'm just going back. Let's go back to this. But at the same time, I'm going to just make this part bigger. And edit this bit. And probably going to kind of edit the stocking here and make it curve upward a bit more. Kind of indicating how the leg is sort of coming towards us. Actually, at the same time, I feel like this part, you just copy, paste, should be up here a bit more, like that. Based on the reference, of course. Actually, let's go back to solid round brush. Actually, this might work. I was thinking maybe this leg could be like this and the other leg could be on the other side. But yeah, it's a lot of like testing stuff out. Sorry for being quiet, I'm just trying to see what makes more sense. Okay, I think we'll just keep it like that. And I'm going to have the dress go down. Maybe have the dress come up like that, so that the other leg could kind of be underneath this dress right here. And maybe having the leg kind of go this way. I guess like that. It's trying to figure out a way to make it look more dynamic, pretty much. Maybe the hand could, at least this arm, let's cut this arm, put it on a separate layer underneath. And what happens if we put it, like, hide it behind like that? I'm using my finger to block it, see how that, nah. I don't think that works too well. Actually, I think we can hide the hand like that. I'm always trying to find ways to hide hands. This might work a little better, have the dress go like that. So this is not exactly based on the new design. Actually, we could still have like a shorter skirt. And then we can have the leg here. And then have it like that. And the skirt could come up to here. And like that. Sorry, it's gonna be super messy. So it's going to kind of like that. So a lot of this is kind of based on experimenting now, because the reference just cuts off right here. So now usually what happens next is just me experimenting to see which pose looks better. So I mean, this is not too bad. Kind of goes with the whole vibe here. Let me just redo this skirt right here. I am kind of painting the skirt in a way that drapes according to her pose a bit. But this might be a bit tricky, especially if you're not used to this, but definitely try to look for a reference that closest matches what you have in mind. Okay. And I can see that her dress has a lot of these. It definitely looks like a club dress. Let's see if we can emulate a bit of that texture. Alright, so let's have a look. Oh wow, that changed a lot. I think I changed quite a bit for step 3. So this is what we have. Might even need to customize the background a bit just to fit the... so that it's not super messy. I'm going to just blur the background up. Actually, Let's keep it like that, and I'm just going to blend this area. No matter what, this won't make sense. This will not make sense. Okay. Why do I always have to make it harder for myself? I always have to extend the pose. I'm never happy with the initial pose. Let's kind of extend the leg over here. So I'm just shaping out the leg here, the knee, and then the other leg, and using the airbrush to do a fairly fast job. I'm going back to this area and blending it in. So this is with the bottom area. I think we could extend this. Extend the leg up, and now we have that leg right there. This is totally different from the reference now, but it is with help of reference, of course. I'm gonna add a bit of highlight there just to follow through on this highlight right here. I'm going to make a selection here, make this area darker, inverse, going to airbrush and adding just a bit of skin tone in there just to make it look like transparent stocking, just a bit, not too much. Same for this leg right here. I think this is looking a bit weird, so I'm trying to see if maybe that is because I need a bit of the leg showing over here. Nah, I don't think that's the case. Let's kind of flip it over, have a look-see. A lot of times it helps if you flip when you feel like something's weird. I'm gonna select the inner thigh right here and put a bit of shadow on this side. And then select this area in particular and push shadow there. And I'm going to paint in some skirt wrinkles. And just try to pretty much blend this in. And I'm gonna go here, clean this area up. I'm just going to put shadow underneath that area. Going to go for a warm shadow, and then contour the outer rim of the leg on the outside, and I'm going to select, let's try this color. I'm just going to select highlight and kind of contour the highlight on the outside. Well, this is not looking as good as I thought it would. Let me redo that. Sometimes I try some stuff and afterwards I'm not liking too much, so it's okay to go back. Let's do this again. I'm going to start off on this side now, making sure I have the knees good. Now I'm going to try to actually make a foreshortening look, foreshortening attempt at foreshortening, I mean, which might not turn out well, so we might have to redo that one too. No, I don't like it. Oof. This is gonna take a while. So this is basically what I do. I'm sorry if I'm working on one area for a long time, but yeah, it's all trial and error. Let's just keep it ambiguous for now, I guess. Or keep it dark. We could also keep it in the shadow. Let me extend this up a bit. Extend this highlight up as well to kind of fit what we have going on. And I'm just gonna indicate a bit of shadow. I mean highlight, just contour the side. And that's it. Let's zoom out, have a look. It's not too bad. Indicate shadow here. And then highlight, and we have shadow. Of course, I'm just going to do a bit of my own interpretation here. I'm going to add a bit more shadow here. As you can see, there's not much shadow going on here, but I'm gonna add it in. I think this might look a little bit more better. So that's why I did that. Okay, I think I'm also just gonna cut it here so I don't have to deal with the bottom, and at the same time I can make the character a bit bigger so I can have more basically, it'll be easier to work on the face more because it is now bigger. So let's have a look-see. So 3, that's step 2, that's step 3. It's definitely getting there. Need to work on the face a bit more now. Plus we can move the head, tilt it a bit more. I kind of prefer it when she's tilting her head a bit more like this. I want to see if I can copy paste and just move the head over a bit. After I do that, I'm going to fill in and erase. So I just kind of moved the head a bit over. If that's the case, maybe I need to move this arm over a bit too. Let's see. Using the free transformation tool and just kind of play around with it a bit. Just trying to make sure it's not super bulky or anything. Let me redo that. Just gonna cut a bit of the corner to make her look less bulky. Here too. Gonna give her a bit of muscle definition right here. There we go. So what is this? Okay, this is the arm, this is the torso. I'm just going to merge this together and call it body, head, and then the arm. Usually I like to layer stuff by by limbs that are overlapping. So the torso with the arm will be separate from the torso. It's just a lot easier to work with. Now that I have done that, I'm going to flip. Actually, no, gotta flip everything because everything is flipped. Now I flip it back. So this is what we have now. Move this over here. Now let's proceed to step 4. Okay. Step 4, I'm thinking maybe we can start doing a bit of a composition here. Let's play around with that. Keep it like that, I guess, and we'll tilt the character. Usually I like to tilt the character because it does make the composition sometimes more dynamic, and you can kind of play around with that as well. I'm leaning more towards like these, I guess. Oh, actually, yeah, kind of following along this. It is slightly tilted. So let's see if that works. And because I tilted it, the background will probably need to be redone. Let's kind of copy what we have going on over here, except we're gonna go for super intense highlight in the background. And then some super dark background on this side. There we go. Okay, so this is a super simple background. That does kind of create a pretty dynamic atmosphere. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to some of these areas and just kind of fix the anatomy, and also redo some of the shadows and whatnot, because I think I am missing a bit of that. And also not everything is refined as it needs to be, so I'm going to do a bit of a refining here using whatever colors available to me based on what we have going on already. So it's cleaning stuff up, darkening up certain areas and whatnot. Okay, so on the chest here we need to add a bit of shadow so it's not super bright all the way. And also need to add a bit more details too. So I'm gonna put a bit of that highlight in the dark part of the dress design, the dark bit. And I'm going to add shadow for extra detail. Same for here, add some highlight. Maybe add a little bit of a red in there as if it's catching highlight, and then adding a bit of thickness to the dress. It's gonna bring this over, connect it to here, and make a little bit of ripples. I mean fold. I said ripple. Fold right here for extra detail. Lock down this layer so that I can add a bit of rim light here, especially when there's like super intense background color. This is where the belly button is. Can kind of slightly insinuate the anatomy there. Of course, if you make it too much, we have to kind of remove it a bit, not have it so obvious. And okay. Let me contour the shape right here and add shadow underneath the dress here to create the overlap. Okay, now that we've done that, going back to the dress. And I'm gonna start refining the dress, adding a bit of a line for, I guess I'm trying to put a bit of design. And let's see where the seam is on the side and on the center, so let's see if we can add that in. So on the side, I'm gonna use a dark color and we're gonna add that there, and on the center, add that there. I'm gonna create another layer, and then we're gonna kind of, I'm not super into the design of this dress, but let's see if this could be like a cool little extra detail that we can do. But yeah, I'm not like super into this type of dress on her. I prefer the more Chinese traditional dress, but maybe we can do like a mix of both. See if we can pull that off. So I'm just adding that rippling texture that she has on her dress, which adds detail and character to the character, of course. Let's add a bit of that rim light, on this fold right here, and then connect it to there. And add a bit of it there. Just a lot of fold detail. Actually, I might even add it on the other side too, using a light blue-gray. I don't know if this works. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. I think it works. So adding a rim light can help contour a character. Let's see how the dress is. The dress is super smooth up here, so I guess that's what we'll have it. Let's zoom out, have a look. So this is what we have. Just a bit more detail. Let's kind of soften that. And we'll clean this bit up by just using the lasso tool and the airbrush tool to blend this out. Before, after. Let me just remove this and just very softly blend this in. Okay, so now for this part right here, just want to take a look. Just really want to emphasize this bone right here, the hip bone right here. It's not really emphasized here except for this, but it does help to emphasize it a bit more, just to to go with the anatomy more, I'm going to select underneath the dress. And we're gonna go for a warm shadow. And let's have it selected. Have this selected. We're gonna work on this leg now. So this leg, let's use a bit of this shadow right here. Just gonna use the airbrush and softly put that in. I'm gonna add more shadow on this side. And select that area because I'm going to edit this a bit. Just fixing how the stocking is wrapped around the leg. And select the areas I want to fix and paint over it. After that, just kind of blend the stocking in as best as you can. Zoom out. Before, after. Okay, let's remove a bit of that. So I removed a bit of the clothing fold because some of the shadow is getting lost, so just want to bring that back. Okay, zoom out. Let's see here. Okay, that's not looking too bad. Okay, we're gonna go with this. Now I'm going to merge that down. Oops, I wanted to see before, after. Before, after, so it's just a little bit different. Oops. Now I'm gonna go ahead and work on the face a bit more because we're gonna work a little bit all over the place, here and there, just to make sure not one thing is getting too focused on. We're gonna do a overall job. Let's lock down the face layer, the head layer, and use the airbrush, and just going to do some fast highlight and shadow blend. Add a bit of skin tone on this side and this side too. Kind of helps neutralize things. Now I'm going back here. Just going to soften things. Okay. We might need to do a bit of reconstruction on the face, to be honest. Okay, let's get started. This might take a while. So I'm gonna use another reference for the face just because I don't think it's working out too well. We're gonna try to still keep a bit of the same color, but we'll see. Start off by changing the colors. And I'm gonna add a bit of eyelashes here and there. Refine the nose. Let's bring the highlight up to here. And gonna go in here with a bit of shadow for the lips. I'm not gonna make it as red. It's just have it a little bit less red and see how that looks. But I still kind of like that red lipstick. I think it looks good on her. To be honest, red looks really good on black hair. And plus her outfit is red, so... Let's fix the eyes a bit. Oh god, that looks crazy. Let's make her eyes a little bit smaller. Actually, I need to zoom in to look. Portraits are so tricky to do because I need a... I think that looks a lot better. So I neutralized the skin tone to more of a grayish overall, less colorful basically, which makes it look a little bit more realistic, I find. Let's add a bit of teeth in there. Kind of like the eyes before. Let me just remove that. Yeah, I think that works better. She's got the eye bag, so I'm bringing that back. I kind of removed that as I painted, so giving that back. Clean this up. Have a bit of blush. And then a bit of eyelashes. This is really not big enough for a portrait. I might have to make this canvas a lot bigger. I'm going to increase, actually no. I'm going to add more whites of the eyes on this side so that her eyes could look more like she's staring at us. Like that. And fixing the lips and the expression. Let's have the highlight underneath the eyes, refined a bit more. Kind of looking at my other screen at the same time, so this before after. It also helps if you do this a few times to just keep track of how your editing is going. I'm going to add a little bit of chin definition here. Like that. And extending the highlight over a bit more. I'm gonna see if it looks better if I extend the highlight down here to the neck part. Actually, it's not too bad. I have to make sure that this part is in shadow though. I'm gonna extend the gray tone downwards like that. Okay, I'm going to oh god, no. That doesn't work. I was seeing if just making the lips like a shapeless blob would work, but it doesn't work, of course. Of course not. It can't cheat that. So this is before, after. I zoom out. Before, after. I think it's looking better, so I'm currently adjusting it slowly. Okay. Actually, let's see if this would look better if it was red. Let's make it like red. Holy crap, that is intense. Actually, let's keep it kind of bluish, but let's make the top a little brighter, just so it's easier for us to work on the hair, because otherwise I won't be able to see the hair correctly. And we'll just adjust the hair as we go. I'm gonna add a bit of shadow to the side. Oh wait, why isn't it? Okay. Why isn't it working? Oh, that's why. I'm going to erase a bit of that highlight underneath the neck so that her jawline would be more defined. And just going to kind of do that jawline, focus on it, and she's got her choker like that. Some nose here, and we have the shadow for the nose. Kind of refining a bit of the nose, pretty much. Let's actually, I need to look for another reference for this. Okay, I'm just gonna use a reference I found. It's one of her doll figure. It kind of helps with the features in a more 3D way, which is good. There we go. We've got the shadow, and I'm just going to refine the jawline at the same time. Gonna work on the neck as well. So her chin is actually contoured in the reference, so see if that makes it look better. And then I have the highlight. And then the lips. Oh gosh. So before, after, it's definitely looking better. Gonna work on the hair a bit now. So the reference I'm using is actually not from her recent game, but from my older game. I think I'll just do like a mix of the two. And I'm gonna use the lasso tool to help me paint the hair better. Go back here, have a look. And I'm just gonna merge this down to the head, so I'm gonna close that. I will be selecting the area where it's gonna be in highlight, including a bit of the corners here, and I'm gonna go to adjustment, brightness, contrast, turn up the brightness. Oof, I'm not sure if I'm super happy with this though. Maybe I'll just keep it black like that. I'll just add a bit of a rim light outside later. Cause otherwise, if I added the highlight that way, it might make the hair look less dark than her hair color actually is. So I didn't do that. Okay. I'm just making sure that the hair is actually fitted to her head, because it didn't feel too much like her hairstyle, pretty much. Maybe it's a bit too poofed up. Let me see if I can make it a bit rounder like that. Maybe that'll fit. Yeah, I think that fits her a bit more. And also taking that area off too, because I do notice that her hair on this side is shorter on this side, so this way it looks a bit more like her. There we go. So I have to keep that in mind as well. Okay, I think that should do. And fixing the lips to a more neutral, to a more like serious, stern look. Maybe not too angry, just a little bit. Just okay, I think this should do. So this is before, after. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm just gonna merge everything, all the everything that's not the head together into one layer. I'll lock that down. I'm gonna do a general path for highlight now, just selecting the areas, purely the areas where there's already highlight. Just gonna see if I can add an extra bit of that highlight just for the sake of being more dynamic in terms of lighting. I'm just gonna select all the areas where I think highlight could be, including this. I might have to put this in shadow, I'm not sure. Okay, so I selected it, brighten, and I'm gonna make it brighter, just like that. Not exactly same as a reference, but just a bit everywhere. Like that. After I'm done, merge that down. So now we have that. What I will be doing is I'm going to select this area, the original highlighted areas that we started, which is this whole part here, more or less, and this part. Actually, we might not even need to put all of this in highlight, but we're just gonna select it just in case. Actually, I think maybe we could add this whole bit into highlight. Copy, paste, and we're gonna go here, brightness, brighten that area up. So now it's more emphasized pretty much. I would like to emphasize this part a bit more, make it more vibrant, pretty much like that. And I'm going to erase a bit of the leg highlight, just sticking it to the center. So this is before, after. So we're gonna focus all the highlight here, just like the reference there. And this part is a little lumpy, so we have to make sure to blend this properly using the airbrush. Just going to do our best to make this nice and smooth. Alright guys, next step we're gonna do is add a simple background using, well, not simple, but we'll create a composition for the background using images. So these ones I found on Adobe Stock, and I got it from Adobe Stock. So usually what I would do is I find one that fits the atmosphere of the character, and usually I do like to find backgrounds with some sort of light source like this, so that her hair can stand out. As you can see, it's pretty atmospheric. It does add a nice effect. And then I'm gonna overlay another stock that I thought was cool, so of a smoky background, I'm gonna put that on light. So this one, I'm going to just overlay it like this, so it looks like really foggy and mysterious, which I think fits the mood of the game. It's kind of like a darker environment. Okay, and then afterwards what I'll do is I'm gonna play around with it a bit, and I'm going to go to brush mode, lighten. I'm going to add a bit of blue light like this, and I'm going to go to multiply and make this part darker, and then we'll see if this looks better or not. So sometimes blurring it a bit would help focus on the character a bit better. In this case, I think maybe we could do that. Blur it a bit, and then after we blur it, we could kind of tweak around with the color, and that would make the atmosphere even more interesting, so to speak. So this is gonna be our background for now. Let's move on to step 5. So now that we have a background-ish, we should also try to fit the rest of the character color in terms of color palette with it. So what I'm gonna attempt to do is gonna select this whole area here, probably gonna erase some of these lighter area later, but the areas that I have selected will be in shadow. So copy, paste, adjustments, gonna make it darker like this, so that we can make the highlighted area more intense. In this area. On top of that, we're gonna add a bit of that blue. Okay, one sec. Bit of blue to some of the outer edge of the character. The neck. Add a bit of that to make it blend into the environment a bit more, like that. So this is before, after. After is just a more it fits more with the background pretty much. Okay, I'm gonna put this on top because I also want to work on the face as well. So for the face, we'll kind of add the blue on the side of the hair and just follow the curvature of the hair. And we're gonna take a bright highlight and just kind of add that in as well. And add down here. Add a bit of a rim light to the individual strands of hair. Going to kind of follow the curvature of the neck and also the clothing on the side here using the white color, which helps bring out the silhouette of the arm. And then just gonna remove the references because we see if we can create our own atmosphere. So maybe you can have the face in shadow here, maybe, and have the blue extend over. And have a bit of open to show the teeth. Maybe have her look the other side. And I'm gonna add shadow underneath that jawline because I was losing a bit of that jawline there. So it's before, this is after. Of course, there needs to be some rework for the lighting on the side of the face to make it a bit more interesting, since a lot of the face is in shadow. Need to add some more interesting lighting on the opposite side. At least for me, I have to make sure there's enough interest in terms of highlight and shadow. So if most of the characters in shadow, then the highlighted area got to be interesting enough. At least when I paint, I just can't leave it alone. Just add a bit of, extend the highlight of the shoulder down or make it more intense. After we do that, I'm going to use a bit of this blue and kind of bring it down here. And then over here, just going to experimenting. I'm experimenting on where I'm gonna put the highlights versus shadow. Okay, so this is before, this is after. It's not too bad. I think I'm going to add back a bit of that highlight or make the face a bit brighter and not so much in shadow, just because I don't think that was the route to go. So I'm testing out another shadow and the light source style. So instead I'm just gonna put a bit of more concentrated shadow on this side. Like that. Zoom out, have a look. Before, after. Well, it's definitely more accustomed to the background, at least. I'm gonna add a bit of blue here. And around here. And let's create some shadow for the armpit. Add a bit of blue here too. There we go. So before, after, I'm still looking, see if everything is working out. Alright, let's zoom in. I really want to make this canvas bigger. See how big it is? Okay, we can afford to make it just a bit bigger. Actually, let's go for 5K. Just because painting portrait is really difficult if the canvas is not big enough, and not enough detail would be able to, well, we won't be able to work on as much detail if it's not big enough. So usually this is pretty good size. If the face fills up most of your canvas, that's a pretty good size, so that you can put in enough detail. There we go. Okay, before, after. Just switching back before and after, making sure everything is progressing. Do that every few minutes that you're on your character, just to refresh your mind. Okay, so now that the canvas is bigger, this is definitely easier to work on now, just because now I can go in and really put in those details. Gonna put a bit of a shadow in that arm area, especially the armpit area. So that I can fill in the detail. So right now I'm not exactly using the reference, just because the lighting is different, and this is what I mean by I end up changing the lighting a lot towards the end. I don't think I mentioned in this voiceover tutorial, but I probably mentioned it in other tutorials where I keep changing lighting. The reference is good just for the base, however afterwards I usually tend to kind of not like it and want to change it, stuff like that. So anyways, this is good though. Now that it's a lot bigger, I can put more detail into the piece. So I am blending stuff in. Gonna add a bit of that orange tone in some of these areas, as well as putting back some of the neutral skin tones. Actually, we're gonna have the highlight here, and that should be it. Maybe on the leg here is indicating just a bit of it, and also gonna add just a tad of detail for the under, where it could just be like the silhouette of it. cleaning up the dress slightly. And actually maybe you could even change up the rendering for the dress just by adding some more highlight down here. What that does is make the fabric more reflective. The more highlight reflectiveness a material has, the more shiny it is, pretty much. Wait, did that make sense? I hope it did. And then can add some small little details, which if you zoom in you can see. However, if you zoom out, it'll look like texture only. And yeah, I'm just going to go here and just add some bluish highlight. I'm going to go back in with a darker red and sketch out some little lines to add a bit of texture as well to create it. And here we can clean this up or leave it. I'm just gonna clean it up with the airbrush. Same for here. Just gonna blend this together. I'm gonna add just a little bit of shadow here to this tendon right here. I'm adding a bit of highlight here to emphasize the neck here, even though girls don't really have super prominent Adam's apple, I guess. They still have a little bit of definition there, so that's why. I'm cleaning up the neck right now. Before, after. Definitely getting better, I think. There we go. Okay, now working on the face. I think I'm going to create another layer just because I don't want to mess it up. Just gonna stack on the layers. So, going to add a reflectiveness for the jawline here. And adding super intense highlight here for the reflectiveness of the choker. Now for the eyes. Her eyes, in the new Resident Evil, it doesn't go, it's not angular, it droops a little, and then it goes up like that. Now for the lips. This might be, oh wait, I haven't zoomed in, that's why I was like, why is it so hard to work on it? It's not zoomed in. So hopefully this will be a little easier to work on. Now that I zoomed it in. I'm just kind of trying to blend the lips in. Extend the eyebrows. And I'm gonna add a bit of shadow underneath the eyes. A bit of highlight to the lips. Going to extend the hair over here just to contour that neck. And then I'm just going to texturize the hair a bit. Usually I would take a photo image and just kind of use some of that texture and paint over it. But you can do the same thing with a very small brush and just kind of do this type of thing and to create a lot of lines. To emulate the hair textures, go up and down. Very, very light hand with a very light hand. And maybe have a little bit of extra hair, like probably not out because her hair is super straight and down. Then I'm going to add more gray to the face because the face still looks a little pinkish, so I'm gonna add a bit more gray in some parts. Which I think will help with making it look more realistic as well. Because realistically, the color, if not under direct sunlight, is very muted. So let's just keep it like that. Let's keep her eyes really sultry looking. Keep it nice and sultry. And I'm gonna go ahead and give her more of an eye bag down here. Okay, maybe that is a bit too much. We'll pull that back. Let's add a bit of... that might be a bit too much. We'll pull that back later. Add a bit of highlight at the top of her forehead. Let's move the highlight over here. So before, after, I think maybe now she's looking a bit too angry, so in that case I'm gonna copy, merge the eyebrows and just kind of move it over like this, make it a bit straighter like that. And going back to the eyelid, let's go for more of a hooded eye look. Trying to see if maybe making her look in front would be better or not. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and create the tiered, the space, the eyelid space, lower eyelid space here. She does have a bit of makeup that goes down like this. So it's before, after. Let's merge that down for now. And I'm gonna copy merge, bring it over. Make her eyes a bit closer to each other. Actually, I'm feeling like this is crooked. I feel like this is crooked. Maybe this eye is a bit too big. Let's flip this. Sometimes front views are really tough to work with. What? That was weird. Just because front view is probably the more Why did it disappear? Hold on. Let's just rotate the whole image, I guess. Oh, that takes way too long. Let's wait. Yes. Rotate that. Flip. What? Where did it go? I don't understand. Where did this go? Why did it rotate all the way over there? That is so weird. Why did it do that? Oh my god. Oh, that's because this image is way too big. I'm just gonna only copy this and delete the rest. Okay. Now I'm gonna rotate this. There we go. Now it's not as crazy. Okay. As you can see, after I rotated it, it's looking really weird. That's pretty normal. Your eye gets accustomed to one side really easily, so in order to always be able to see mistakes and whatnot, you have to rotate to be able to see it. So yeah. Going to copy, merge, move it over, move it here. That, and then make the lips a bit over there. Okay, so now I'm trying to even out the face. It's not going too well. It is challenging, but I think a few rotations would fix the problem. Sometimes we need to rotate it a few times before we can even things out. As you can see, I rotated it, and now it's kind of like, I have to kind of fix that a bit more. So on and so forth. So I gotta like play around with it a few times pretty much. I'm going to copy paste this area, move it down. Before, after. Actually I kind of like before. Sometimes you can actually do it in between before and after. Oops. Going back here, let's rotate this again. Have a look, see? That's before, that's after. So as you can see, it's slowly fixing it somewhat. I'm gonna remove the head length right here. Remove this. And I'm going to expand make the head a bit rounder on this side. And let's see, probably make that side a bit more flat with the hair going down. And then let's see if we can define the ear on this side. So that we can really emphasize the jawline here. And then emphasize the jawline on this side too. Like that. Like this, okay. So before, after, Let's angle the jawline a bit more. See how that looks? I think it's getting there. It's getting to how I want it to look. Let's bring the highlight down. Just bring it down a bit. And make this pupil a bit bigger. Right now the eye bag's looking a little puffy. Let's see if we add a bit of eyelashes. Let's see if that will look a little better. I think it does actually. I'm going to soften the shadow over here. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow to the nose right here. I'm not gonna make the nose shadow too defined. Kinda like give her a bit more of an Asian feature. A lower nose bridge, softer features pretty much. Okay. Oh, she's looking cute now. Cuter, I mean. Okay, let's zoom out, have a look. Let's zoom out. Yeah, she's looking really Asian, which is good. It might not actually look too much like the in-game character, but yeah. I think the reason is because the pupil is way too big, which makes her look really chippy-fied in a way. So just going to see if I can reduce the length, the size of the pupil like this, and then bring up the eyes like that. See, now it's looking a little bit less chippy-fied and more Asian. I'm going to extend the eyelid a bit forward and give more light brown shade, and then draw paint in the pupil, and then the whites of the eyes and a bit of eyelashes. And a little highlight to the nose here. I'm going to add a shadow right where the hair is to the arm here. I need to find a proper reference for this armpit area. I'm not too confident about it. Okay, so this is actually a lot better. Let's rotate this back to where it belongs. Okay, let's move on to step 6. So we're gonna see what else we could do to make this look a bit better. So I'm pretty much satisfied with what I have going on, so I'm just going to merge all of the character layers together, and of course I'm gonna go ahead and crop the head layer separately. Kinda wanna see if I can like rotate it a little bit to give it more personality, maybe? Hopefully. And at the same time I can edit as I wish. Just edit this a bit, maybe. And also actually maybe we can make the arm go up like this. And And probably need to change the expression a bit to fit the atmosphere a bit more. Maybe make her look to the side. Or something, I'm not sure. Let me create another layer for this first. I'm just going to make her look a bit more to the side. I'm not sure actually. I think it works a bit better. Yeah, I think it works a bit better. And in addition to that, I'm going to work on the hairstyle a bit. I'm changing it slightly. I'm going to reduce the details by a small amount, just so we can give her more of a simpler round head shape, because that is sort of her hairstyle right now, at least for the new game. And actually, to be honest, I like her hairstyle in the older versions better. But I'm kind of afraid that if I don't do this hairstyle, the rounder one, it's not gonna look like her too much, and usually I want to make my takes as close as possible to the character. Maybe I can just remove this part right here to make it rounded. There we go. Maybe just going to add just a little bit of hair sticking out. And lock that down. I'm gonna add a bit of I'm going to add just a bit of highlight here and shadow, making sure there's shadow down here. And of course, we can ease highlight into the neck. I guess I could try putting a bit of highlight on the shoulder blade, see if that helps. I think I'm gonna keep it like that. Just keep the side dark with a bit of gray undertone. And I need to paint the choker back a bit darker. There we go. Maybe drag down that face a bit. Lock it down. Shape the hair on the side. To refine the jawline over here a bit more. Clean up this side as well. And I'm just going to refine the hair corner here. And refining the lips. So that's our expression at the moment. see if I can move this eye over a bit. Actually, no, I don't think that works out too well. Now, let's return it. So, this is what we have pretty much. Add the eye shine. I guess we'll just keep this expression as it is. And just leave it like that, I guess. Actually, I kind of like this a bit better. Oh man, I changed my mind a bit too much, I think. Okay, let's undo it. This is why I have like a lot of history. Yeah, I think I'll just keep it as it is. Actually, no, go back. I'll just keep it as it is, except... Oh wait, no wait, let's just kind of rotate this a little, and that's it. And then maybe curl the lips up a bit. Like that. And that's pretty much what's gonna happen. I think her lids is a bit thick here, which we can modify it by going to liquefy, and just gonna push this in. Push the fabric into while I'm at it. Kind of reduce here. There we go. Okay. There, we kind of reduced it so it's not super big now. So I guess this is what we're gonna go for. I'm just gonna do one last bit of editing, and then I'll probably do a bit more refining off camera. It's just I work a little better off, well, yeah, off camera because it's stressful. And I'm probably gonna do like a bit more changing here and there as usual. Let's keep it like that. So just a bit more intense, pretty much. And yep, that's pretty much it. So this is the reference I use. These are the references I use. This is like in terms of lighting and whatnot. And of course I edited the lighting afterwards because this lighting didn't really fit the atmosphere for this. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry if it was a bit all over the place, but pretty much usually I just kind of work on things until I feel like it looks good, or at least it's acceptable. Sometimes trial and error doesn't usually work, and I have to do a lot of variations to see what works best. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will see you guys in the next voiceover tutorial. Have a great day, guys. Take care.